video was that I was going to be doing this live, but here we are, and we're going to wait for some people to come in. But if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for tuning in. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And I'm here live with Dave Sherman.
How you doing, Alan?
Hey man, I appreciate you coming live with me to talk about the things.
Love it.
Huh?
Loving it.
Yeah. So Dave, how did you? First of all, people are gonna want to know how we got connected. So I guess you can tell that story if you like briefly.
Yeah, absolutely. I took a shot in the dark. Back I wanted to get into embroidery in the first, and I watched every single Alan Wade video on embroidery, and it just got me wanting to get in and dive into it. I did. I pulled the trigger, bought me my first embroidery machine. I got a MT 1501, and I reached out to you just to ask you a few questions about something that I kind of came up with on my 3D printer for the embroidery machine.
Mhm.
And I didn't know if it would work. I didn't know if it would be useful. I didn't know anything really.
Yeah.
And you replied, and then we just kind of hit it off from that point on. And you and I have been tag teaming different projects here and there ever
Yeah.
since.
Yeah. Why don't you show people your hat that you made on the MT 1501 there? So you
Yeah.
guys see the jersey, and look, he created that on the MT 1501. I'm like, yo, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? That was a cool jersey. And then he said, yeah, I made the hat to match the jersey. That's cool. And you made that on the MT 1501, right?
Yes, sir. It was actually one of the first things I made.
What's,
Um,
what's going on
I
the line of T? Go ahead.
it was one of the first things I made. I two of the things that I've done since on my Ricoma are probably two of the more difficult things. You saw my Alpha Chi Rho fraternity Carhartt
Yeah.
vest, and this hat. I kind of shot for the fences. I figured if you could do small things, you could do big things. So I
Exactly.
just went for it. Yeah.
Yeah. So when like we're gonna talk about DTF in a second, but when you first got your embroidery machine, like how, when, at what point from when you received the machine were you able to like really kind of get the hang of it and start like embroidering stuff on your own?
Well, there was one particular week right after I got it. I was able to get one thing done.
Okay.
And then after that, like the wheels fell off the cart, and I just didn't. The problem was I just didn't get it. I really was out there, and I had no clue what I was doing.
Hmm.
And I really took the time to dive into, your videos, other people's videos, and really Ricoma's videos. Ricoma has a ton of videos,
Hmm.
and really figure out what was going on. I was under the misimpression that if you have a thread break, well, it must be because there's too much tension, right? So I loosened everything to the point where the knobs almost fell off. Well, and I didn't understand the concept of tension and pushing and pulling like a tug of war, and that it needs to be balanced
Yeah.
between the bobbin and the machine.
Hmm.
And once I got that in my head, and I tightened everything back down, it was smooth sailing. Now it just runs, and I rarely get thread breaks now. But
Oh,
before, I mean, I would get them every 2 minutes. It would run, snap, run,
yeah.
and I've got huge hands, and thread and needles is not my favorite thing.
Right. Right. Now, so after you got your embroidery machine, you got the hang of that. What made you say, hey, let me look into this DTF thing? Like, why'd you get into DTF?
It was within 4 months. I After getting the embroidery machine. Honestly, it all came to price points
Mhm.
and the customers you want to reach.
Mhm.
Okay. I started this whole hobby shop, um, business, with doing wood carvings. And as you, I have
Yeah,
a,
I see
I
something.
have a shop saber CNC machine over there in the
Nice.
corner, and I do CNC wood carvings, and
Mhm.
I do some really elaborate stuff. But hardwood is very expensive, especially after COVID.
Big time.
And I wanted something that was less of a price point,
Mhm.
and that anybody I could do an embroidery for anybody between 40 and and $100, and in that price range, and anybody could afford that. And
Yeah.
then when I kept watching your videos, watching, and then this DTF thing came up, and you and I talked, and you were like, well, you really just go out and educate yourself. That's what you said to me. Educate yourself. Find out what you think you like, what you know you like, what is within your budget, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you really you didn't try to push any one thing. You just tried to tell me to do the right thing, which is educate myself. And
Yeah.
that's what I did. I went out and I found the right entry level machine for me. And in that case, for me, it was the R2, the Prestige R2, which is the upgrade of their old faithful A3
The Pacific.
plus R. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and I've had it now for 2 months, and I absolutely love it. I It's fascinating to me, and that was motivated by a price point,
Right.
because now you got embroidery, which is up here, and
Right.
now DTF is like right about here.
Yeah.
And now more people, you can people that would normally give away t-shirts for clients and things like that
Mhm.
won't give away an embroidered t-shirt for
Right.
50 or $60,
Too
but
expensive. Right.
they'll give away a $25 t-shirt for that's a DTF t-shirt.
Yeah. Now let me ask a question. What were some of the things that went wrong, or you had to figure out some of the nuances that you had to figure out when learning how to use your Prestige R2?
Well, that's a great question, actually. One was the setup. I went through an extensive setup with the people. That's another thing. I bought it here locally in Atlanta, and you're from my hometown. Shout out to Coatesville, all the Red Raiders out there. But uh, the 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 A3, or excuse me, the R2, it was very easy to set up. And but what was the hardest thing for me was making sure that my images were clean. I actually called you about it, and we talked extensively, and you told me it's all about software. And like you always advocate for is, learn your machine, learn your trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I pulled the trigger and went out and got Photoshop.
Yeah.
But there's all kinds of different editing software
Yeah.
online. You don't have to go to Photoshop, but
Right.
I did, and it took me about 2 days to learn it, and get it. I'm every day I'm learning something new.
Okay, pause right there for a second because
Okay, yeah,
listen, guys, it took him 2 days to learn Photoshop. Now, don't think that because it took him two
no,
days to learn Photoshop that you're gonna get on Photoshop and be a pro in 2 days too. Because there's other stuff that you don't know about this man, that comes into play. Like he told you, he works with CNC machines, does wood carving and stuff, so he has an extensive background. And what's your trade? Like, what's your degree in?
I was a satellite engineer and
Okay. See,
a
see?
wireless engineer. Yeah,
Yeah.
and but I work. I've got vinyl cutters here. I've got lasers here. I've got extensive software packages on my computer,
Yeah.
and they all kind of work in the same manner. They just do it in different ways.
Hmm.
And you can take files from one and dump them into another and create something else.
Yeah, it's easy for you to grasp the concept of using different softwares because after a while, the interfaces kind of function similarly, kind of sort of.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. They're all laid out very similar. You always
mhm,
know when you want to save something, you go to file and you
exactly.
save, and those kind of things.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And
Cool.
we've been creating, you and I've been creating stuff together ever since.
Yeah.
Go, why don't you talk to them about one of your new toys?
All right. So no, we're gonna keep on rolling
Oh, okay. Let's do
with
it.
DTF stuff. Yeah. He so when Dave reached out to me, at the time he was doing 3D printing, and he introduced me to this device that he came up with, he created. And then he also convinced me to take a stab at it and open up this um 3D printer that I had sitting in a box for over a year.
Wait a minute. You told me we were going to stay on DTF,
Oh
and
yeah,
now you're going on to 3D
I did
printing.
say that. Yeah. That's okay. We'll fast forward a little bit. We'll jump around. We'll jump around. But
Gotcha.
so I had this machine called the Ender 3D printer that I got for as a Christmas present like 2 Christmases ago, and uh
Sitting in the box.
hey man, you need to open this thing up, man. What are you doing with this thing sitting right there? And I'm like, well, I know that it's not as simple as you just open it up and use it, because with all these machines, there's another aspect to it, whereas though you need to learn the software. And I was overwhelmed to the point where I didn't want to learn the software yet. But Dave was savvy enough with the software that he walked me through it just a little bit so I can get my hands and my feet wet. And then when he showed me what he had created, it really tweaked my curiosity to help me open up that 3D printer. I mean, yeah, the 3D printer and get right going. So tell them about how and why you came up with the idea of the thread stays that go on top of the Ricoma machine.
Correct. Yeah. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm a US vet. I don't have
Thank you
both
for
of my
sharing.
legs above my knee. You're very welcome. And so I even though I have extremely long arms, getting to the top of my machine is still a challenge. And if you get a there's something called a top of the machine bird's nest where the threads will wind and they'll catch one another, and
Yep.
static will grab the thread and then it'll pull it up into the eye.
Hmm.
And it was very frustrating. It happened like 4 times to me, and I had to call my daughter in. And my daughter has these very like Dracula fingers, and she was able to get in there and pick them apart.
Yeah.
But it took like an hour and a half to
Hmm.
undo these knots.
Yeah.
And because at the last thing I wanted to do was rethread the machine, so
All right.
I invented I call it the upper thread nest
You call it
eraser.
the upper bird nest eliminator. That's what you call
That's
it.
what it was.
Yeah,
Yes.
upper bird nest
Yeah.
eliminator.
Yeah. And all it was a tube about 8 inches long connected to a clip that you clip to the top, and you feed the thread up it, and it goes straight into the bird's eye, and that way it's about an inch above the top of the spool of thread, and
Hmm.
it really cannot go anywhere except for up the tube, and it eliminates the bird's nest on the top.
Yeah. So since then, um, I've introduced it to you guys. I got it up on my website right now for sale. Dave, do you have it on your website as well, or not
No,
yet?
you're the one running with it right now. So I honestly, I'm just happy that you're able to do that. And let's tell them about the other thing that you and I came up with.
Okay, okay. You go ahead, hit it with it.
Yeah, I have, because of my hands, I have a hard time getting the wrenches on the Ricoma for the hat driver, the cap driver.
Hmm.
So I went on and I sourced a lever clip that takes place of the short screws,
Yeah.
and now all I need to do is flip the levers, and it'll pull right out. Put
Yeah.
it right back in. Put the levers down, and it's ready to go. It takes me
Yeah.
about 10 seconds to change out from a regular hoop
Tap
holder.
driver to a flat driver. Yeah.
Correct.
Flat
Correct.
hats to flats
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. And it's
Yeah.
it's a 10-second swap out. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like a pit crew, and they hold amazing, and it's a very simple fix. And Alan's got those for sale up on the website as well.
Not
I
yet. Not
Not
yet.
yet.
I don't know because
Oh, okay.
that was I thought about the idea, but you had thought about it also, and you actually implemented it and went ahead and you had made them, you know.
Correct.
But prior to us even meeting, I was thinking more like a screw as
Right.
opposed to the wrench that they had. But you had the idea of an actual lockdown
Lever.
mechanism, and you went
Yes, it's called a
and made it.
lever. Yes, it's a lever. It's a lever latch.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
cam lever latch. That's what it
Mhm.
is.
Awesome. So, yo, how many years have you been into like 3D printing? Like, how long have you been doing that?
Um, I started about almost 20 years ago.
Uh,
And it was right after, it was about 2004, 5 ish.
Yeah.
I was right about to retire. I just lost my legs for the second time above my knee, and I was in the wheelchair
Wait, time out, time
permanently.
out, time out, I'm not following.
Oh,
How do you lose your legs one time, then lose them again the second time?
1 second.
All right, all right. You guys heard it right. He said he lost legs for a second time. I'm like, wait a minute, time out. You gotta explain that for us. But how you doing? The BX Chula 69. How are you? And Team Beyond Everything. You said that's happening to you right now.
Sorry about that. Air compressors have a mind of their own.
Right, right. They come on and off whenever they feel
Yeah,
like, right? So,
right.
yeah, because you said you lost your legs again for the second time. How does that?
Yeah, I lost them in the military, and then later in life, I had two staph infections in my knees, and I had to have them amputated above the knee.
Okay,
And
so it was a certain length in the military, and then they had to go higher. Okay,
correct,
okay,
yeah.
yeah,
And it just wasn't. It was life threatening, so I had to do it, and that's
yeah,
what put me in the chair permanently.
100%.
But I I'm just not a person to just sit and twiddle my thumbs and
Right.
just let life pass me by. And this goes back to the thing I tried to always tell people is just to push forward, always keep learning and
Mhm.
doing something. I started off, I tried to get it find it for our show. I started off with a little tiny robot that was about an inch tall, just 3D printing that robot. My wife bought, just like it with Alan. My wife bought me my first 3D printer, and for Christmas, and I
Yep.
couldn't get it together fast enough. And
Right.
I printed that robot, and now I do all kinds of things. I've Darth Vader is right here on top of.
Gosh, I'm gonna get in the car. Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I know, I know. Yo, listen, I've been doing so much other stuff on there. Can you hear me? Can you see me? It looks like I'm frozen.
I can see you, I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Yeah, somebody was calling me and now I'm frozen. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. I hope it can fix itself. But anyway, what I was saying was, is this thing gonna fix? Hold on, let me flip it and flip it back. Flip back. Okay, okay, I'm back. Good. Woo! Quick fix. See what I'm saying? Quick thinking.
I
So
can't see you.
you can't see me?
No, sir.
Okay, can you guys see me? Can you guys see me in the chat? No image on screen. Let me flip it again and flip it. Do you see my wall now or no? Nothing?
Nope.
Oh my gosh, my live has been compromised. Bro, every time I go live, something happens. I was just starting to be on a good streak, and now here it is again. Oh my gosh.
Can we go out and come back in?
I don't think we can.
Well, I'll hold down the fort for you.
how do we even do that? Because if I get off, the live is gonna like stop. All right. Well, I'm still blank. Oh my gosh, you can't see me at all.
No, sir.
What the heck happened? Let me try to. I'm gonna. If I exit. Okay, the BX Chula. Can you see me? No, she said no. Okay. I'm gonna try to exit and come back in. If I exit and can't come back, then we'll just do another live. All
Okay.
right. Let me see something. All right. How about now? No.
No.
Oh my gosh. Messed up my live calling me.
Compromise.
Story of my life. All right. We're gonna go out and we'll start a new live then. We'll start a new live.
Okay.
We'll do it again.
All
And this
right.
time I
Sounds
put my
good.
phone silent. My phone's always ringing. All right.
All
All
right.
right.
We'll be back with more stuff, guys. We really will.
Yeah, in a second. All right. Bye.
All right.